Twitter, your Twitter, and my Twitter. So it should go to all of those places.
Ooh, we got the starting lineup too.
We do.
It's been the standard one that they've been running with the starters. Derek at the 2.
I'm hoping most of our viewers find us here. That would be ideal. We told them that this is where we'd be, so hopefully we get them in here from Guy Boston. Well, I'm sure we'll see in the chat soon enough, but I'm going to get our names on the screen in the meantime.
Sure.
Let me see.
We have one viewer.
We do. Let's see. I need to make that the right color, but for now, I'll just do that. Okay, perfect. Anyways, welcome in. I'm hoping, like I said, people from Guy Boston find their way over here. Jackin already did. Legend.
Good sir.
Jackin found it. I'm sure other people will find it as well, but it is everywhere. Final preseason game. Regular season tips off on the 18th. But right now we have Celtics versus Raptors. Joe Mazzulla said they're treating it like a regular season game, and they're running a regular season lineup, or what has been the regular lineup at least. Marcus Smart, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford. Do you think that's what they're going to roll with on opening night?
I'm tending to think yes, just because Derek's gotten a lot of run with the starters, or like what we're considering the starters with Rob out. I've noticed that a lot, that they've been using him out there. And what it also does is it completely clears that path for Malcolm Brogdon to be your ball handler off the bench. And it allows you to have a little bit of an off ball handler, someone who can also play defense, shoot the 3. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but if he's been working on his shot, it looks better, like form wise. And I don't know his preseason stats off the top of my head, but he seems to be playing pretty solidly amongst the starters. So I can't knock it. I mean, right now, considering that you don't have Rob, that's a pretty good fallback option. And it also lets you have Tatum play at the 4. And I do like when Tatum plays at the 4. Granted, you have Allen, Rob, you got the double bigs, usually if you're trying to go with some size, but it also lets Al not have to match up against maybe some faster players at the 4.
Excuse me. Yeah, I agree. Jackin saying he wants to see Hauser with the starters. I think you'll see plenty of that as well. I don't think necessarily he'll start, but I think he'll probably play with the starters a decent amount. You have to imagine he's going to fill in the Gallinari role, and Gallinari is probably going to play a bunch with the regular guys too. And I mean, it's hard to complain with what you've seen from Hauser so far. And Mazzulla, like I said, saying this is going to be a regular season rotation, we'll probably get a pretty good indication as to how much Sam Hauser plays tonight. And I'm hoping it's a lot. I have high hopes for Hauser. I feel really good about him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the one thing that you've seen consistently from him is consistency so far in this preseason. He's had a lot of carryover from game to game. I've never had a game where I've sat down and been like, man, I really didn't like what I saw from Sam Hauser. He's looked every bit of the player that you'd hoped he would be. And kind of, I think after everything that happened with letting Max Strus go, I think they were like, we're not going to get burned by this again. We've got a guy who's known to be a 3-point shooter. We're going to give him time. We're going to show a little bit of faith in him, give him an extension on this contract. They've got him at small money. So we'll see what happens. Cornet, 7, 8, 9 off the bench. I don't know. I'm very suspect on this because I want to see where he's at health-wise. I don't think they're going to force it. I'm also just interested to see like what kind of role is going to be left for him because he did miss a good chunk of time, and Vonleh's looking good.
Vonleh looks good. He does, and they signed Blake Griffin. They have a lot of big men too. I mean, I had a conversation with Adam Taylor on Twitter, and Adam's not a big fan of the signing Vonleh. I am. I enjoy Vonleh. I think he's played well, so I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. But there's a lot of centers on the roster for a team that was struggling to find, third string center for the majority of the offseason. They now have 3 who seem pretty capable of filling that role, and all of them kind of do different things. Blake Griffin is the more, I guess, all around versatile, the veteran guy. He can pass pretty well. Vonleh is more of a traditional big. He's looked great in the pick and roll, and he can finish around the rim really well, which I love. And obviously his rebounding straight. And then Luke Cornett's there, the tallest guy in the team. He can shoot a little bit, and he's been with the team since last year. So everybody kind of does something different. It wouldn't surprise me to see Cornett pushed out of the rotation in certain matchups, but the same goes for Vonleh. Like the last time the Celtics played the Raptors, Vonleh didn't get a lot of run. And I think you'll see, if the Celtics are playing traditional bigs, I think you'll see Vonleh more. I think if they're playing a team like the Raptors, you'll probably see Blake Griffin more. And then Luke Cornett can kind of play against either because he can drop back. But the shooting is the one thing that stands out with Cornett. So I think Cornette probably has more of a role than Vonleh or Griffin, but I think it also depends on the matchup. And against Toronto, who runs small a lot, even though they are running Kem Birch tonight, so that could change things because Siakam's not playing. But I think traditional
Boucher's
bigs
not
means
playing,
Cornette.
right?
I
Yeah,
think it was
Gary
Siakam.
Trent.
Someone else, yeah.
Yeah, and Gary Trent's out too. I mean,
Mhm.
so there was a lot of hype I felt like going into the offseason. There was a lot of uncertainty around Luke Cornett, and then it started to develop. Forgot to send out like I don't know, send out a flare to everybody else. I feel
Yeah,
like everyone else is probably waiting for it to be on Guy Boston. That might be probably part of it.
yeah. We said
Um,
it a while ago. We might. I'm trying to get it merged so Guy Boston will also be used on this channel, but I'm just working that out in the background.
yeah, we'll
We'll
get the
figure it out.
kinks out. I mean, if you have to keep working on it while I talk, feel free.
No, as in I need the login. I need somebody to
Oh
log in
crap.
from Guy
Okay.
Boston,
All
which
right.
I
Fair.
cannot do.
In terms of Luke Cornett, I think it's difficult because, like you said, I think he has the size, and I think in certain matchups that plays into his favor, and other times it does not. So it entirely depends on if the Celtics are running out double bigs and who's on the floor with him. Because you figure you have to probably play a little bit of drop with Luke Cornett. I mean, for a pick and roll defender of his size, he's not bad. It's just a question of
Mhm.
whether or not you can lean on that consistently. I still like I'll say this again because I said it at the beginning of this day off season when they were talking about Luke Cornett. I don't know if I really want to lean on Luke Cornett for heavy minutes. I'd rather have two guys who probably split that workload. Birkin's in, let's go, Birkin. Who split that workload. So I think getting Griffin was a really great step in the right direction. He's a great passing big, and he seems to be like immaculate with the vibes. Everyone loves Blake
Oh yeah.
Griffin. Blake Griffin loves being here, and it feels like he's just fit right in perfectly. So I'm interested to see what his role is long term for this year. But how's the temp over
Mhm.
here? Is it's warmer in like the room that I'm in right now, but it's been fall weather lately though, if that's what you're
Has been.
asking. Yeah.
It hasn't been bad. This is starting five tonight, by the way, Birkin. Welcome in. Thank you for finding the stream. Smart, White, Brown, Tatum, Horford. Missoula said he's running with the regular season rotation tonight, so this is probably a good indication. Landon asking if the heat wave is over. It does seem to be. No more of that. I really want Layman to make the team. Layman hasn't looked great to me. I understand the wanting to have a hometown kid on the team, but you already have online, so you don't really need to root for that anymore. Layman has looked bad. Broderick Thomas looked bad, so bet he got waived. Justin Jackson looked bad, then good. So it's kind of tough to tell there. But report from Adam Himmelsbach saying they're going to fill out all 15 spots because they don't have a ton of depth. And he also noted that they're probably going to fill it internally, which means it'll probably be Layman or Justin Jackson. Right now, I'd probably lean Justin Jackson because of the shooting. But who knows? Maybe somebody impresses in this game, even though they might not get much run. He has skills. Would you elaborate? What are those skills? What are the skills Jake Layman has? I would like
He
to know.
can he's very good at running
He can
back
run.
and forth.
He can run pretty well. I'll give you that.
I mean, look, all jokes aside, I just think that there are people who have superseded Layman. Like, I just don't think that we have progressed beyond the need for Layman.
Yes,
It
I
like
agree.
like Sam Hauser playing the way he has in the preseason has made me like way more comfortable being like, yes, give him a major role in the rotation. This is the
Yeah.
sharpshooter you need off the bench. Perfect. You went ahead and you got Brogdon. You still have to figure out like what Pritchard's role is going to be there because like I feel like you're in a weird spot with Pritchard still, where like you need him to hit threes, and if he's
Mhm.
not hitting threes, him having a role is really difficult. And then beyond that, it's like okay, where are you going to go from there? You got Blake Griffin that you just signed. If you're starting Derek White, you've got him out there on the floor with the starters until Rob comes back, but then he's going to slide back into a bench role most likely. And then you have to figure out where it is from there. And that's where it kind of gets tricky. That's where you're trying to figure out, okay, if you're having to have a conversation about who's going to be the ninth or 10th man on this team, like there are worse conversations to have.
True. Exactly. A couple things in here. Landon saying maybe package Gallo and Pritchard for who? I like suggestions. I don't hate the idea, but I need suggestions. Birkin saying I am giving Grant 14 for 4 years. I think Grant probably wants a little more than that. Adam Himmelsbach saying it's unlikely that they get a deal done before the deadline, which breaks my heart. But if I'm the Celtics, I've stood on the grounds of I think you should give him 4 years 50 mil or 4 years 60 mil. Anything past that, maybe you just let him hit restricted free agency. And I think you still match it in restricted free agency. I don't think you'd let Grant walk, but Grant's probably itching for something like Jack and said. Yeah, he wants 14 to 17, which makes sense. And I think there are teams next year that could probably give him more than that, probably 15 to 20 in restricted free agency next year.
That would
I
be a
mean,
lot.
you look at the market value though. Like I did this thing with Sam on the podcast. Joe Harris makes 18 million. Duncan Robinson is 16-7. Davis Bertans got 16 mil a year. And I know you say, oh, these could look like overpays. That's the price of shooting in the NBA now. That's what it takes. And you're talking about a 23-year-old 40% 3-point shooter who can guard at least at times 1 through 5 as a versatile defender. Like that's gonna be a lot of money. And I bring up the example of the Pistons who will have money. Bojan Bogdanovic is going to be coming off. His contract will be up. They need somebody to fill that 4 spot. If the Bojan thing works out, you're telling me they're not going to jump at the chance to sign a 23-year-old version of Bojan who's a better defender and a 40% 3-point shooter? Like, there's going to be teams that are probably willing to pay Grant Williams, and the Celtics will just have to match. So.
And I think they will. And I think what Jacken said in terms of like a pay range, that's probably what I'm comfortable giving him. I think I would top out at most 18. And even then, I think that is like.
So you'd let him walk after 18?
Well, no, I think I'd probably work on a sign and trade. You can't let him walk for nothing. Like this has always been my mindset. It's either you pay the man what he's worth or you work out a sign and trade. You just don't let a guy like that just walk. And I don't think that they will. I think they realize like how important he is. And I mean, we've talked about it before with some of the other guys at Celtics blog, like Doxy said this, and I agree with this, Andrew Doxy, talking about how Al Horford's aging and you're going to have that regression hit more and more. Al Horford's money comes off the books. He's probably going to take a really team-friendly deal if he stays in Boston, which I imagine that he will finish the rest of his career with the Celtics. I just don't see any reason why they would let him walk, especially if they can work down that contract to like small figures. But with Grant, you need him to kind of slide in and take some of that workload. And I think he's perfect for that. Like I think his skill set is exactly what you need out of your big man. I think if Brad will match to 20, I think Brad will match to 20, and I think that will be it. I don't think he's going to get that much just because for me, like, I just don't. What's Grant's ceiling from here? Like, how much better can Grant get? And that's the only argument that I have where, like, okay, I feel like paying him 20 million, like, unless you think he's going to take like a leap to be like a borderline all-star, which I'm not saying is like out of the cards, but just like, I don't know how much confidence I have in that happening.
Borderline all-stars are making 30. Like it's not like borderline all-stars are making 20 anymore. Role players are making 20 now. It's like it's tough to like think about it because I still think of a max contract as 30 million, but a max contract's like 45 now. And so you kind of like
well, the top that you have with max contracts, you have to understand that it works as a percentage of the salary cap based on how many years you've been in the league. So like the bottom tier of that is going to be 25%, next tier is 30, then top is 35%. But even then, like talking about guys making like $45 million, most of those guys have been in the league for like 7 to 10 years, generally speaking. And they are
who just got a deal this summer? Let me look. Who just got a max?
I don't know how he took a pay cut, but I don't know how much Harden got. But I mean, like, Jimmy Butler's extension.
No, I'm talking about like these younger guys. Like, who's a younger guy who just got extended? What did Shea get last year? Shea Gilgeous.
You can look at Luka's contract too, but towards the tail Luka's deal, he'll be getting that. But you're also talking about a guy who made like All NBA, who made an All.
I know. I'm just thinking of like max contract. Like Shea just got 31 a year. Like that's around what he's making, and so like 23-year-old, like the Keldon Johnson contract is probably what Grant is looking for. Like Keldon Johnson just got how much? He got no, that's not right. Keldon Johnson. I know he just got extended. He just got 4 years, 80, right? For Keldon Johnson. And that's on a rebuilding team where he can get the money. And I don't think Grant is as good as Keldon Johnson, but you pay for shooting. I think 15 is probably the fair where I would go, but I can understand why Grant wants more because teams will probably pay him more.
I think 14 to 18 is a good like sweet spot for it, but I think I think honestly, like getting caught up in the AAV is really not like the most important thing because, like, let's say it is 4 for 80, as long as you're scaling it back every single year. So, like what Jackin was saying too, with having, we'll address Birkin in a moment, with the cap jump coming. That's the beautiful thing about it is if you can scale these contracts the right way, you can have his cap hit be smaller next year and then have it gradually go up as the salary cap jumps up. So that becomes a little bit more palatable as opposed to it being like a flat rate across all the years. But I think, yeah, I think 14 is the absolute bottom of it. If they get him under 14 mil a year, then that's
I
like,
can't see it
I
happening.
can't see it happening either. But I mean, the only way that happens is if one, they don't negotiate an extension now
Mhm,
before the deadline hits on Monday. Uh, and he has like a not as good season as last year, this year. Yeah, you
mhm.
could front load it or you could backload it, Jack. And I think that I think there's an argument for both, but I think you would backload it so you have a little bit more flexibility now. And you're gonna get a little bit of flexibility this offseason because Al's contract again is coming off the books. I can't see him signing for a ton of money to come back. So I'm excited about that. I'm actually gonna be interested to see how they do this.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
I think
is
that's totally fair, Evan. I think that's fair.
yeah, that's fine as well. Now, Jackin, my man.
Love you, buddy.
Other people that had 30-point games 2 years ago: Jalen Harris, Stanley Johnson, Alec Burks. Sorry, I can't. I can't.
It's just
I can't.
me.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't back it. I can't. I understand like players play well. Like Romeo Langford probably had a 20-point game at one point, right? Like I assume. He's like from what I've seen this preseason, he hasn't been good. I don't think he's been that good.
It
Josh Hall had a 20-point game 2 years ago.
it's not
Who's
like he
that?
had the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been so many games where they haven't played anyone. Like
Yeah.
that entire most of that second half against Toronto the last time they played them, they had a perfect
Woof.
opportunity. And also going back to Jackson on that, holy hell, that was terrible. That was one of the
Yikes.
worst basketball performances I've ever seen. But then the next game he like lit it up. So I'm like, I don't even know
Yeah.
what to make of you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh
That
man.
was rough to watch though.
Yes,
That
I
Toronto
agree.
game with the youngins, but in a quarter. I know in a quarter. It doesn't matter to me. Did they win the game? Like what was the score? Who was hurt? There's context. And I doubt like 2 years ago is 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Kemba Walker was an all-star.
Oh god, that news coming
Right?
out of Detroit sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I
I
feel
mean,
bad for him,
at
man.
least he's out. I'll put it this way. I don't see any reason the Hornets don't sign him now. Like, especially with LaMelo Ball being hurt, but I suppose we'll see. Um, I'd still prefer Justin Jackson over Jake Layman for what it's worth.
Yeah,
Just because he looks slightly
skill
better.
set,
But
skill
we'll
set.
see. Realistically, I don't care either way. Like either could come in and play a fine role, but I don't expect either of them to get many minutes. But I'm just hyped for the season to start. I want to get going. I'm sick of preseason. We have a few more days left, and we'll be in it to win it. I know Sam and I talked about this on the podcast, but what are your predictions for the East? How do you see the East playing out this year? Might as well go into this while we have time,
Uh,
since there's not much else to talk about.
I mean, I think the top three will be some mix. I feel like this is a really easy prediction to make, but I think the top three will be a mix of the Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers. I
Yep.
I want to see what James Harden is able to do for the 76ers because I think this happens every single year where you started to see it now where like a bunch of different NBA podcasts and a bunch of NBA pundits are saying that the 76ers are going to be amazing this year. And it's like, guys, like we keep doing this every year. Like, when are we going to learn? And I do want to see what James Harden does. He keeps bragging about how he lost like 100 pounds or
Yeah.
something. So, you know what? If they go out there
Uh,
and they light it up, great, awesome. But they keep doing this thing where they're all talk the whole season and then they kind of peter out by the end of it, and then the playoffs they quietly bow out. So I want to see what's going to happen there. Bucks definitely have something to prove coming back into this year, especially after going 7 games with the Celtics. Giannis Antetokounmpo is still always going to be a threat. They've got Chris Middleton back and healthy now. So they've got some stuff to figure out there, but I think they're going to be in play. I think you could shuffle any of those teams around. Obviously, as a guy who covers the Celtics, like I'm going to say the Celtics are going to be the 1 seed. Like,
Okay.
and then I think it'll probably be Celtics.
Do you want to give your official predictions? Sam and I have mine and Sam's marked down if you want me to mark yours down as well.
Okay. I'm going to need to pull up all of the teams in the East because I have to really think about this because there's going to be teams I'm going to be like, oh, like you forget about everybody. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and say Celtics 1 seed, Bucks 2 seed. I'm going to go ahead and say that the 76ers are the 3 seed. Miami is the 4 seed.
Okay.
I think the Hawks would be the 5 seed.
Okay.
I think the Nets will be the 6 seed. Mm-hmm. Raptors, I think, will be the 7 seed.
Wow.
Well, hang on. I'm gonna go ahead and walk this back a little bit. 5 seed is gonna be the Cavs.
Okay.
6 seed is gonna be the Hawks. 7 seed is gonna be the Nets. And then, did I say the Raptors again?
I think you want Raptors 8.
I think Raptors will be 8. I completely I'm looking at a list of the teams and for some reason I was just like, oh yeah, the Cavaliers. I'm like, no, wait, the Cavaliers.
Sam did the same thing.
They're forgettable, and that's a problem because they're going to sneak up on somebody in the playoffs, and they're going to completely mess them up. 50
we have
wins
win
for the
predictions.
Season, F?
61 for Bergen.
Wow. No, 50, I love that.
This is where I land.
Man. I think this is 52 where I to land. 55. I was going to say 52, here. But let's see, man. I mean, all things considered, the fact that we're even able to have like a conversation about the Celtics where it's not like what's going on with Ime Udoka is crazy because like that hit and then it just went away and they really haven't missed a step so far. And the team seems to be gelling nicely. Everyone seems to be bonding, vibing well. They're playing well, especially without Rob. Their defense still looks really good. So I want to see how they play in the regular season. And Tuesday night's going to be an excellent test for that. Tonight, let's see who's going to, this is kind of like throwing it at a wall, seeing what sticks because they're going to figure out the end of this bench situation, these last couple roster spots.
Do you want to finish out the East? You want to do the bottom half? You want to predict?
For what, like the play-in teams?
Yeah, just the rest of the standings. We did all 15 if you wanted to continue.
I'm not going to go through 15. I think the Magic are going to be terrible. I think the Magic are going to be bad. Maybe I don't know. Maybe yeah, probably. Then maybe like the Wizards.
Wizards at 14.
Maybe the Knicks. Knicks before them. The Wizards, I need to see actually what's going to happen with them. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Maybe if they're lucky, they'll be a play-in team.
I had Wizards at 10.
Yeah. I think the Bulls are in a tough spot. I think the Bulls are going to be a play-in team. I would say they're probably going to be 9 or 10.
Okay.
Just because of health, not having Lonzo for a bit, they really got screwed with that contract.
Sam had the Pistons at 9. Fun fact.
I think they're probably a play-in team too. I think Detroit's got a lot of nice pieces, but I'm also wondering like all these teams that are on the younger side who are rebuilding and like just kind of going through the motions. Like if they have like one injury, they're probably just gonna be like, all right, let's just pack it in. Hornets. I'm gonna say Hornets 9, Pistons 10. Wizards
Hornets 9.
I think they'll be. They'll be in the play-in, but it also depends on how
bad. You have the Bulls too.
Okay, so let's.
You want Bulls at 9, Hornets at 10.
Bulls 9, Pistons 10, Hornets 11.
I had the Hornets at 13.
Okay, I think that's pretty fair. All things
Ball's also out for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 4 weeks.
Once you fall into a hole like that early on.
Clippers,
man. Clippers. Yeah. Clips. Good for him, man. It sounds like he was really going through it with some personal stuff. So,
yeah, I'm happy.
Hornets do look
he's
horrible.
Back.
Jack and yes,
Hornets
they look terrible.
Hornets are awful.
I didn't think it was possible for their defense to get worse, but it has.
It's horrific.
They're horrific.
Terrible. They're going to be really, really, really bad.
They're going to suck for a year. They're going to get Victor Wembanyama. And
I genuinely think they'll be in the race. Like, I mean, the Pacers are terrible too. They're probably going to be bad. Team. They look decent against the the Knicks. So take it with a grain of salt. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I had Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Heat, Nets, Cavs, Raptors, Hawks, Bulls, Wizards, Pistons, Knicks, Hornets, Magic, Pacers. But I would probably bump the Pacers up one or two now after that. But yeah, I'm confident. I'm feeling good about the Celtics' chances. I think Joe Mazzulla has done a phenomenal job so far. Obviously, it's been about a month since on the job, but he looks good. He looks ready. I'm excited for Malcolm Brogdon. He looks like he's fitting in beautifully with the team. The connection with Hauser, he's running the offense well. Jason Tatum, I'm hoping, knock on wood, will pick it up rather soon. Jaylen Brown obviously looks great as well. It's just shaping up to be a good season. I'm very excited, and I'm also forgetting that Rob's gonna come back. Like in my mind, I feel like he's out for the season, but he'll be back by January, hopefully.
Yeah,
So
we'll see how that works out. I don't want them rushing him back, especially if they're playing well.
yeah,
I do also want to say, I mean, I'm sure you saw it, but the comments by Brogdon basically saying it was basically between the Celtics and the Raptors for where he was going to end up.
yeah,
Pacers went to him, and he said, "I'm picking the Celtics because I think they're closer. They're further along."
love it.
I mean, everything that he said since joining the team has been incredible. You're not sold
Come
on
on now,
Wembanyama,
come on now.
buddy. I my concerns would be about durability and then just overall being able to play defense, but I would not say that he is incapable of playing against a tough
He's a
NBA
phenomenal
team.
defender.
He's insane because of his reach.
Mhm.
Disgusting.
He's I was gonna say people had doubts about Kevin Durant too. That's why he went number 2. And look where that got him.
Well.
Hauser is Hayward/Bird. Okay. Wow.
We can't just be tossing out white people's names and then saying it's a combination of these two because it's a 3-point
Have you
shooter who is
seen
slightly
Hayward?
blonde.
Did you see what he
What
looks
is
like?
going on with Hayward, man? I actually seriously
Midlife crisis.
no, I'm worried about him. Like, not even joking. Like, what's going on with him? Like, I'm
Oh,
concerned.
oh
He
man.
looks like he's got some serious life stuff going on because no one goes into
Yeah.
the barber shop and asks for that haircut. No one
Well,
who is of sound mind and body.
he had a mullet earlier this season. I think it's crazy. He is hurt again. I think, or he's on and off this preseason. He just can't stay healthy, man.
Yikes. I feel bad, man. That's
It's brutal.
terrible. It is brutal.
Anyways, side note: how's everybody fantasy football season going? Good, solid. What's your record?
I got 2 different teams going on. Let me check them. I think one might be like 3-2. The other one might be 2-3.
I am 2-3 with what I think is the best roster in the league. So I'm very upset. I'm very pissed.
3-2 in one league, and I am 2-3 in another. So
I
I'm
ju-
on the come up though. I'm on the come up.
I just made a trade today, which I'm happy with.
It
I
was
traded
Pittman and Pitts for who?
no, I traded Michael Pittman, Taysom Hill, and Tyler Algier for DK Metcalf and Kyle Pitts,
Ah, that's what it was.
which I like. But my team is stacked, and I'm 2-3, so I'm pissed. I've got Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Debo Samuel, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and David Montgomery, and I'm 2-3, which I don't get because that team is stupid. But whatever. And I have DeAndre Hopkins coming off suspension next week.
I've got him
so.
stashed in the league that I'm like 3-2 in now, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, once he comes in, like I'm just gonna hit the thrusters, like it's gonna be
Bro,
amazing.
I'm gonna have Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, and DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm
Like,
surprised you traded for another wide receiver, but I guess you can always run one at your flex, so like it's not a bad
yeah,
thing to have for sure.
I did mainly because I don't know how consistent Taysom Hill will be, and so I took the chance on Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts. Like, I mean, he put up 30 last week, but he could come back and put up 0. So I'd rather take the chance on Kyle Pitts. I also have Dalton Schultz off the bench, so if Prescott comes back, I'll be fine.
Mhm.
I mean, I started the year, I drafted Noah Fant, so I've just been kind of winging it at the tight end
Yikes.
position. And then DK Metcalf, that was just me upgrading from Pittman. So figured why not. And now I have trade bait, hopefully. But we
That's the
shall see.
spirit.
We shall see. I made a deal earlier this season. I traded Damian Harris and Damian Pierce for Debo.
That was a really smart move, huh? I don't think Dame's gonna get that job back. I think Ramondre is gonna take the cowbell role.
I agree.
I
Damian Pierce is
drafted
filthy, though.
Mondre.
Yeah, he's beast. He's a beast. I wish I did.
I knew that was gonna happen. I had a feeling. I love
Do you think
Damian Harris,
is Mac
but
Jones going to get the job back?
for
He's got
another
to.
conversation for another day, like he should. But I also think that they shouldn't rush him back.
Yeah.
Like this is actually
Zaps looked
this
all
is a
right.
good thing. This is a good thing. Quarterback
Yeah,
competition is a good thing.
I agree. Anyways, it's 7:31. We've talked enough football for the day, but yeah, that's all I got. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, be sure to follow the show. Join us again for our
Mhm,
next pregame. We're gonna have Tuesday. I think we'll have Sam back, so we should have the whole crew. But yeah, Jack, lead us out.
mhm. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check us out on YouTube and Twitch at How About Them C's on Twitch, How About Them Celtics podcast on YouTube. That's where it'll be for the foreseeable future. The pregame shows How About Them Celtics. You can check us both out on Twitter at Tim Shields NBA and at Jack Simone NBA. It's streaming there too if you want to see. And How About Them C's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're posting clips every day, so check those out. And yeah, we're here before every Celtics game. This has been the Bannertown Buildup, and we'll see you guys before the next one at the start of the regular season. Peace out.
Cheers.